Welcome to Let Freedom Ring. Just real quick, I just want to say this episode is dedicated to the memory of Bill Munson, who just recently passed away. I've known Bill since I probably was about 6 or 7 years old. He grew up right behind me and my house growing up, and we went to college together at Plymouth State. We were all roommates. That's the 1-4-3 picture. We love you, Bill, and we know how much you meant to the Nashua community as a teacher at Nashua South, as a lacrosse coach and football coach. You're going to be missed by so many people. We're all praying for your young son and wife, but we love you and we're going to miss you. But this week, my guest, Kelly LaPlante, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much. Excited to be here.
Yeah, no, excited to have you on. Let's get to know you a little bit. Where are you from? Where'd you grow up?
So, born and raised in Manchester, New Hampshire, and never left, really. Actually bought a house with my husband 10 houses down the road from where I grew up.
Oh,
so,
nice.
Very comfortable there. I love it.
Now, which side of Manchester are you on?
I guess the east side, literally right Elliott Hospital area.
Okay, okay.
East, south-ish, but right around that area.
Oh, very cool. What high school did you go to?
Memorial.
Memorial, the Crusaders.
Yeah, Crusaders.
Yeah. Oh, very cool.
Red, white, and blue. That's what I believe.
Yeah, no problem with Memorial. They had some really good wrestlers at one point, because I was a big wrestler growing up in high school. So, now, what are 3 things that everybody should know about you?
I'm thinking a lot about this question because you told me it was going to come up, and I'm like, 3. But I think the top 3 things about me, I wear many hats day in and day out, but the most important one is that I'm a mom. I put ketchup on 90% of the food I eat. I know that's weird, but that's a fact. And I'm a doctoral student. It's something I'm really passionate about. I love education, so I think that's something I definitely wanted to point out.
Awesome. Now, is there anything that you put ketchup on that people are just like, I can't believe that?
Oh, quite literally everything. I think my go-to snack is sour cream and onion Lay's dipped in ketchup.
Okay.
It's like a go-to snack.
Yeah.
But I mean eggs, mac and cheese, any vegetable, any meat. Yeah, ketchup's got to be there.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. My brother's like that with honey mustard.
Yeah?
It could be like apps. I'm like, dude, you really putting that honey mustard on that?
Apples, I will do it with ketchup.
Really?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yep.
That's awesome. I do love ketchup myself, and sometimes I do find myself putting on stuff that, you might not usually.
Yeah, I blame my mom. I was a picky eater growing up, so she just put ketchup on my plate with every meal, so I would dip, and it's just never left. So a little heartburn in the later years, but it's who I am.
Dipping's a big thing.
Yeah.
Like I'll do
dip.
Blue cheese sometimes, ranch.
I don't even care. I'll dip my sandwich in my soup. I'm just dip. Always dip.
No, I'm with you on that. Now, I got to ask, this is the big question here, and we ask every guest here, sticking with the theme of the show. Yeah. So this is like the money question.
Okay.
What does it mean to you to be an American?
I think when I hear that, what does it mean to me? Opportunity. I think this is the land of opportunity. I think that's what we market and portray to the world. So it's very important to me that I take advantage of those opportunities. I think especially in my higher ed learning, I've learned a lot just how the world works, and it's not very pretty. And so I think it's just very important to me that you build a legacy and you make purpose with your life. And so that's the core of what an American means to me.
No, I like that answer. I know it's such a loaded question because it means like so many different things to so many different people. Everybody has literally a different opinion on that question.
Yeah. And some people don't hate you for it, right?
Yeah,
and it's,
we hope not.
We hope not. Not our people, but no. Yeah.
No, very
gotta
cool.
take advantage.
All right, now I want to talk about this a little bit because you are going for your doctorate. This is a pretty big deal. We had Michael. I'm blanking on Michael's last name, but he's married to Ann O'Reilly, who's a friend of ours.
Yes.
And he had studied to get his doctorate in England, and you're doing it in the United States. A little bit different, What's kind of going on with that? Like, have you always been a lifelong learner?
I think so. So I started preschool at 3, and I did not take a break until I earned my MBA.
Okay.
So just K through 12, got my bachelor's, got my master's. There was no break. And then it's always been about what else can I learn? So I've gotten a grad cert since then. I have a wealth of classes. I've taken grant writing classes. I think for me, it kind of goes back to that opportunity piece of I'm building a legacy, and I can't do that without knowledge. So I think, yes, what is interesting is I never liked learning growing up, but I think once you get a little bit more control when you're in college, it's just been part of who I am. So I haven't stopped. We'll see.
Awesome. Now, now I got to ask, because you said your master's is an MBA.
Yes.
Was your undergrad related to that, or were you one of those that like, I'm doing something different now?
So my undergrad, my big plan was law school. So I
Okay.
got my bachelor's degree at SNHU in business administration, and I was originally going to plan for the LSAT, go through law school, but I wanted to pause and get my MBA because in my mind it was something to fall back on if law school didn't work out, right? And then I got my MBA, I got my first, adult job in higher ed, and it just, new goals came about. I never made it to law school. Some argue, are you going to do that as a doctor? I doubt it, but maybe. But I think being in higher ed and really learning about what it means to get your doctorate, I just kind of pivoted. And so that's what got me on this path more.
Awesome. Yeah, it's kind of like one of those things, like, I don't know if you ever think about that. So when I originally went to college, right, I'm 18, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, make a decision that's going to affect
The rest of your life.
your life. Did you feel like, was there like pressure with that, and kind of just things changed? Like, did you feel that as you were going through college? Like, is this really all what I want? Or it's like...
Yeah, I definitely did, honestly. I think it's funny. I struggled through my bachelor's degree a lot. I think it's just, to your point, I was 18. I knew everything. Nobody could teach me anything. And college is tough. I mean, higher ed, it's rigorous. You work with these students every day, and you really have to have a good structure. And so I really struggled those 4 years. And I remember graduating and being so proud, and it's immediately like reality.
Yeah.
And so I honestly believe I actually got my MBA to stay in school and avoid life, like pure fear decision. And I got a higher ed job, just kind of an opportunity fell in my lap, and it really worked out. But yeah, I don't think it was something I was great at. I don't think it was something I planned to do. I remember wanting to switch because I started out with like the 4-year plan. And I was like, why don't I just get my associates? I don't think this is for me. But you stick with it. You truck through it. I think it's fear. It was fear of joining the real world. I don't think I was ready.
No, totally understandable. It's like that time in college goes so fast,
Yeah.
and you mature so much from 18 to your early 20s, and you change, and the things you care about. I know there's other people that we've had on the show that was like, I always want to be a kindergarten teacher, and that's what they're doing.
Yeah.
But there are things just change.
Right. Yep.
Now, where in your life did you kind of decide, you got your master's, now you're a mom, you're working full time, have a husband, all this stuff, house, all this stuff. How do you decide that you want to go for that doctorate?
I think I was quickly realizing how little time I had. And so I think for me, it was my kids are just going to get older and they're going to need more of me. My husband's going to get old. Like, these things life isn't going to stop.
Sure.
So I really got to do it now, because I want to be present when they're in middle school and high school, and when they go off, and I plan my retirement with my husband. It was important to me that I ensured I had almost the patience to actually get it done. So I believed that I kind of hit a point in my life where it was like now or never.
All right, awesome. And now you and I know we talk a lot. We work together. It's my boss, ladies and gentlemen. But do you have to go to like in-person stuff a lot? Is there a lot of online stuff? Like, how is it all kind of working?
Yeah,
right
so
now?
I will say every doctoral program in the country is set up different.
Okay.
So some of them are 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years. So I chose the 3-year program basically because I needed to get this done quickly. So it is rigorous. It is a lot. I want to say most doctoral students probably get it in 5 to 7 years. So I'm doing a lot quickly.
Okay.
But I do the bulk of it online, but I go to our campus 1 weekend a month.
Okay.
But that's Friday night, all day Saturday, all day Sunday.
Oh, wow, okay.
4 times, because I guess there's 4 months per semester. So it's a hybrid model, I guess, but I would argue the bulk of what I'm doing is alone online.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Now, how much time you spend per week? Again, I want to talk about this because it's not a very simple thing. You have kids, you have other stuff going on. How much time per week does this take?
A lot. Yeah, I would say I'm not sleeping much these days.
Okay.
But The good thing with this, and I really believe with really any online education, is I really have the flexibility. With outside of the weekends that I have to be there, I'm not tied to the computer at a certain time. So it's really like, what can I do in my breaks and my lunches, and then 3 to 4 hours probably every night. Okay. And that could be reading, that could be homework, that could be my own general research. But I would say probably 2 to 4 hours a night with your pockets of breaks.
And how does the family feel about that? Is it kind of like mom's locked herself in the room type of thing? And
my daughter says so often that, yeah, my mom works from home, but she doesn't actually hang out with us. Like, that's her big thing. So, but it really is part of my why, because I know she feels that way. But she's 7. I have a 7-year-old daughter and a 3-year-old son, and they are little. So I know in her mind I'm locked in the office all the time, but I won't be forever.
Yeah.
But I think my biggest piece of advice to anybody even considering this is you got to be clear with your support system, because there's absolute times that I'm like, I'm shutting the door and I can't help. So when you're screaming, I'm not coming type. So Thankfully I have a good husband and my parents are awesome, but it takes a village.
Yeah, no, for sure. What would you say, and we kind of touched upon this, but if you had to pick one, what is the greatest challenge going through this right now?
I think it's that piece of balancing being a mom. I'm missing things that feel trivial to some, but are very important to me. My daughter tried out for basketball. I wasn't there. She made the team, so I get to watch her play, which is great and awesome, but it's just kind of those key pieces that I'm not a part of. And then I have this lingering fear of, like, is this going to be worth it? Am I going to do all of this? And in my mind, nothing's going to come of it. Okay. And why did I do all of this? So I have moments of guilt, I think, because I am putting a lot of my family so I can do this, but the hope is that it's really going to pay off. So.
Okay, all right. And what so far in what you've been going through, what has been the most rewarding part?
Honestly, I think I have changed as a person, and I've only been in this program for about a year, a little over a year, I guess. I started in September of 21, but I already have such a different perspective on just the world through research. So I think that is what's been the most really rewarding piece for me, is I've not changed who I am, but I've unlocked pieces of my brain that I didn't know existed. And I can articulate information in a way that I wasn't able to before. Okay. So it's that stretching of my mind piece that I think when I joined this program, it was like, all right, I'm gonna go through the motions type thing. But honestly, no, it changes you a bit with what you go through.
Awesome. Is like in your day-to-day, obviously work and just everyday life, is like, does it impact that? Like, do you look at things differently, or?
I think it impacts things in a positive way. You mentioned I am your boss. I think I pull a lot of how I lead through what I learn. And I think that's what's so important. Leadership is ingrained in some people, right? You can learn it, sure, but it's actually just part of who you are. And I try very hard to use what I'm learning in my workplace too. So I almost try to make it seem like they're not even separate. They're the same thing. This benefits this benefits that. And I think mushing them together in that way has actually been very beneficial for myself, hopefully you, and how I actually get through this.
Awesome. And I got to ask this question. We kind of touched on it a little bit, but I want to know this. If there's someone watching this episode and this is their lifetime goal or what they want to do, what would you tell them going into it?
I think 2 things. One, you can't do it alone. So don't think that you can. I think that's so important, especially if you have a family or even just a spouse or friends. I think it's so important that you bring people in and they know what you're going through, because they can pump you up and they can, remind you of why it's important. But I think sometimes too, there's moments in my life that, I think of Thanksgiving dinner with my family. Going through this program has taught me so much that I can actually be a better person in society, because I don't have this very one view. I've learned so much about the world and the worldview. So don't try to do this alone, and ensure that you take in everything, because the goal is that you are a very well-rounded individual at the end of this and not kind of set in your ways. And I think that's tough for people, because you are going to get pushed to think differently. You're going to be asked, how do you feel about something? And then you're going to be told to write the opposite. And I think that really it's hard for people to look at the other side. So open-mindedness, and make sure you've got a support system, because that's how you'll be successful.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, and is this something that like some people are going to go through faster than others?
Of course. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Because I also think it matters. The whole purpose, I guess, of a doctoral program is really based in research, and you can't rush that. So if you really want to solve a problem or learn something, it's not going to be like, you know, an MBA student who's going to do their final on a Sunday night. Like, you just can't. You need the time, and you need to kind of be able to dedicate that to it, so you can't rush it. Sometimes you got to slow down because the research is telling you to.
Nice. Now I get to ask this: is when you do meet with the group, is it just like people from all walks of life, like different age brackets, different? You may have the younger kid and the older person. Like, how is that like?
Yeah, I will say so. SNHU's doctoral program is set up as a cohort model. So you start with a group and you finish with a group. So I do everything in regards to my doctoral program with 8 other individuals. And yes, there's a superintendent in my cohort. There's a principal in my cohort. There's a high up community standards manager in my cohort. So I think when I first met all these people, in my mind, I was like, I'm here to become you. Like, why are you all here? And really, it's because it's that stretching of your mind piece. For example, the superintendent's there because his entire goal is to understand every person in his district.
Oh, wow.
And that is powerful, right? But I mean, gosh, right?
That's hard.
Thankfully, he's in New Hampshire, so he can start small. But like when you put that on a larger scale, yeah, I mean, it's everybody has a goal, and it's not always professional.
Okay. No, good to know. I know a few people, like we said, we had Michael on the show, a few people that have gone for that, so definitely we applaud you for doing that.
Yeah. See if I do it, right. I'll let you know.
You'll
See if I
get
do
there.
it. Michael did it.
We know you will. We know you will. Now I got to ask this. Now you also have been you have been an instructor. You've been part of the faculty as well.
Yep.
How did you decide, teaching it's not an easy thing, obviously.
Yeah.
How did you decide that you wanted to start teaching courses as well?
I think for me, I was feeling removed from the student a little bit. So similarly to you, I started in higher ed as an academic advisor, had my cohort, and yes, you can really, touch and transform the lives of those people, but you're not, I don't know, I didn't feel like I was approaching them or getting to touch them in the ways that I felt I could make a difference. So being able to teach, and I teach the first class an undergrad student will take.
Okay.
So my class is actually teaching you how to be a successful online student. So it really was just filling the cup that I felt was empty in my higher ed career, because it's one thing to advise, motivate, and influence a student to keep going than it is to actually teach somebody something. So that was the piece for me.
I think that's such an important thing that we do, and I think every college should have that, is that, they need to, it's not, you can't just throw them to the wolves a little bit. You
need a safe place to learn and to fail, if you will, but my class is set up where you're not actually failing, you're just kind of trying again. But yeah, to your point, I mean, if we just throw them in an English comp class, never mind the English comp piece, you got to learn how to be an online student, and that's extremely overwhelming. So.
No, Kemi, I remember when I started college, I think I took, there was a class about being successful. I forget what it was called. And all
Success
the
strategies,
something
right?
like that. So, no, very cool. Let me see. What would be your dream topic to teach if you had to pick something?
I think law. There's just still that law bug inside me. I took every business law I could that was offered. I've taken every criminal justice law, criminal law, juvenile law that I could that fit in my program, if you will. I'm so fascinated by it. Honestly, I'm more fascinated by corporate law. So law within corporations, not so much criminal law, but I think for me, I would love to know how a company gets to Enron for how did we get here, and who didn't know, or the idea of whistleblowing and how come that's a thing, and I would love to be able to teach law, but
I feel like
the back burner.
I gotta agree with that. Corporate law is something that's never. It's I used to bring this up. I think I brought this up on the show, and we get so hooked up on the show Cops, right? And these are just these little not great, but not like, the end of the world when you have people like stealing millions,
Right.
billions maybe.
Maybe, depending. Of
You
like
know.
of our money, like putting really vulnerable people in a really bad place, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's just kind of fascinating. I just feel like I don't know. I feel like that's not discussed enough.
No, I agree.
So.
Yeah.
What are the best parts of being an instructor?
For me, it is the transformation of who you meet on day one versus who leaves your classroom 8-10 weeks later, because they always have something. So especially in my class, it kind of starts with a introduce yourself, and the final prompt, because they do like these journal discussion boards throughout, is just reflect on the course. Like, what have you learned? How have you grown? And that is why I do this. Just seeing what they've learned, how they plan to apply things, the plan that they have, the confidence they grew. And it's very clear when somebody maybe didn't get what they needed, and how can I be better? How can I change that for the next person? But I think that's the best thing, is just seeing that I actually do make a difference and it's measurable.
And I got to ask this again. It kind of goes back to like kind of the population we work with now. I've always worked in grad at SNHU. But these are, again, students just starting out. Are you having you must have like 17, 18-year-old kids, but then
60.
much older.
Yeah.
What's that like going through the different population? Because there's people at different life stages.
Yeah.
How do you go about that?
This is my opinion, but I think that's what makes a good instructor versus a mediocre or maybe bad instructor. Because I think that's the goal, is you have to learn who each student is and approach them in that way. It's my job to meet you where you're at and bring you to the outcome I need, not I stand here and who makes it to me wins, kind of. And I think that's an issue that I see in higher ed a lot, is we have to create these safe places, and we have to be able to allow them to do things differently. It's okay to send me an essay because you can't figure out the video piece. Like, I'm okay with that, but I know there's instructors that aren't. So if there's any adjunct instructors watching right now, the goal is to meet students where they're at. But truly, the idea of instructor discretion needs to be through the lens of a student, though. Yes, we all have discretion and autonomy, but I think we are our worst enemy sometimes.
Yeah, and it's tough. And that they always said, when I was in college, that we had a big debate, because I went to school to be a teacher and I taught for a little bit. And we had this big debate about, because when it does get to a college level, it is about being an expert in a field, right? Not everybody goes into it just knock it out of the park teaching. Not to say that happens in teaching in general, but the whole debate came down to, can you just be an expert, or can you actually get people to buy in and learn from you?
Yeah.
So I think that's a very important piece. I did have a professor that at Plymouth State that very angry a lot, and a math teacher. And I get math is so hard to teach. It really is.
Yeah.
But when people would come in late, she'd call them awful, horrible. She referred to the class as awful, horrible people. And as I'm studying to be a teacher, going wait a second, I would never say something like that. It's I don't know. Maybe that was the old school mentality.
Yeah, probably.
But what are the best parts of being an instructor?
I think for me, it's going to be that making a difference piece. SNU's mission, I teach at SNU. I do teach at another school as well, but the mission is to transform lives. They're paying a lot of money. They're spending a lot of time. I try to put myself in their seat. They've got families, they've got everything. So I need to make sure that, similarly to what I said, meet them where they are. I need them to get my core competencies because they need to pass my class. But I can do that in a variety of ways, and I think that's the best part of being an instructor, is really just getting to wear multiple hats, but really helping a lot of people at the same time.
Yeah, no. And do you feel kind of like a mentor? Do a lot of them reach out to you and hey, I'm doing all right now, or?
Some do. I end everything with keep in touch, I'm always here. Not many, honestly, but some do, and that always puts a smile on my face, because that means I made a difference, right? If they're going to reach out later, if they thought about me for whatever reason, but yeah.
I love that. Any moments that stick out with students that have been just especially rewarding, this was, this is why I'm here?
I think It's probably those that are the most vulnerable. Being an online student, sometimes it's because you have to be, not because you chose to be. I just think some of my own students are working 2 jobs because they're helping their parents pay rent, and never mind a global pandemic these past few years. And so being able to allow somebody to actually reach their goals, even if it's a platform that they would have never chosen, or I would argue are not very good at, I think that's the big piece. That's what's so important, and that's what we need to do. We say, again, back to Snoo's mission of transforming lives. That is so, we can't just do that by setting up a deadline and policies and just kind of waiting.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think, honestly, we talk about this too, is that, I think when we were probably in college, we had no idea that online education was going to become what it is.
Almost, right?
Yeah, and it's just created, in my opinion, just so many more opportunities for people that probably may never have had that opportunity to do.
Right.
So, we definitely need great instructors like yourself and pushing these people to do what they got to do and, like you said, try to transform lives. So, very important.
Yeah.
I got to ask this, and we want to talk about this a little bit, because we promoted the show. You're a Judge Judy fan.
She's my girl.
I have been dabbling with Judge Judy probably since 1997, I think is when she first took the air. What is it that you enjoy about Judge Judy so much?
She is so real. So I think people can argue oh, she's neat. Is she? I think she's just real. And that is what I love about her. She says what needs to be said, and that's who I am. So I think she's funny. She's incredibly brilliant. And when you read her story, she was one of the only women who graduated law school in her cohort. She started out in corporate America as a corporate lawyer and just got, she's a little older, so more old school, but it was very much a man's game. And, she was thrown around a lot, if you will, and didn't get the respect she deserves. So I think she almost has a comeback story. And that I love everything about her personality.
No, she's always been very entertaining. Obviously they found, something there with her. Do you like a lot of these judge shows? Do you watch, what have we had? Judge
People's
Joe Brown.
Court.
People's Court.
Judge Joe Brown, yeah.
Divorce Court I couldn't get too into because I was oh, this is kind of sad. But
right, Divorce Court also, Paternity Court. Some of those are more Jerry Springer-y.
It's true.
I deeply believe Judge Judy is real. Okay, maybe there's we're paying contestants. It's still a TV show, but those are real cases, and she actually is using law, similarly to Judge Marilyn Milian in the People's Court. So those are my 2 very much go-tos, but Hot Bench, Judge Mathis, yeah, I like them all.
Yeah, and they don't age.
They don't.
These people don't age on this, morning, I guess.
You need to get a makeup crew up and let freedom ring, right?
I think so. I hopefully I'm doing the same here. No, I do enjoy Judge Judy. I was, though, disappointed when I did learn the show pays for it regardless.
It's a show.
I just always assumed this was
I know, that would be really cool. But then we wouldn't get the truth.
True.
Because if you're guilty, you're not going to.
Do you think people then sometimes just are okay, even if I'm wrong, if I go on the show, at least I won't have to pay this at the end?
I think that's a big reason why people will just do it. Because I am guilty, and so I either go to real court and pay, or I go here.
I guess it's the best of both.
She pays
worlds.
Your hotel, right?
Yeah.
My husband and I have joked that one of us should just sue each other, and we'll just go.
Why not?
Whatever.
Who cares? Where's it filmed? In California?
She does, yeah, L.A.
Okay.
Yes, but Connecticut is People's Court. That's doable.
That's not far at all.
No, it's doable.
I could definitely do that. I do enjoy the episodes, and it has taught me about small claims court.
Yeah.
For sure. It's
Yep.
Okay, that's really how that works.
Yep.
Any episodes over the years that kind of stand out more than others?
I've seen so many. I think my absolute favorites are always just going to be when it's about an eviction, though, because she will tear your house apart, and I love everything about that. I don't know. My favorite phrase that she says is you ate the steak, you pay for the steak.
Yeah.
So anytime that she says that, I love. But honestly, it doesn't matter because she's going to be real, and it'll be entertaining. So I can't think of one off the top of my head. But
yeah, no, I do like a lot of the stuff with renters and stuff like that. It's just it's interesting. It's because Yeah, you can't just do whatever you want,
Right.
you know.
You know what she has a lot of, which always makes me laugh because we're in higher ed, are the couples that broke up, but they used their excess loan funding to buy like their friend a car.
Yeah.
And they broke up, and now like they want. And Judy's like, so I bought you that car with my money. So.
Do not use your money for that.
Right.
That's not what it's
fraud.
for.
That is still fraud. So right.
There has been a lot ones too that I've noticed about dogs.
Oh yeah.
You know, this dog did this or that, and those ones kind of get me. It's like you are responsible for the actions of, you know, your pet.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The only thing, it's the flip side that gets me is that the world, view pets as property, and like, that just.
Do not say that to PETA. They have made that clear on their Facebook posts. I don't know if you follow PETA at all. And I'm nothing against PETA, but sometimes I feel like they go too far with some of their posts. They had a lot of turkeys like killing humans around Thanksgiving.
Oh wow!
Posts. Like they can get pretty crazy. But anyways, they've been stating a lot that your pets are not property. So
hey,
shout out to PETA.
Right, we'll agree there. I'll agree on that one asterisk. Yeah.
Where do you think she ranks in all like pop culture? Because obviously, I mean, now, like I said, I think she debuted in 96, 97. That's a long time ago.
I think she did 25 years before she moved to her new show.
Okay.
Yeah, she did 25 years as Judge Judy, and now it's Judy Justice.
Which is the same.
Which is the same show, but it's better. And she runs the show now because it was CBS before.
Oh,
so
okay.
CBS
So
rules.
she has final say?
Yeah, Judy rules now, and Judy Justice, and her family is her. What are these people? I was going to call them a panel. That's not who they are. But whoever they are, like a lawyer, a clerk, or whatever. But that's I don't know.
Is the bailiff still there?
Yes, but it's not Bird.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but yes, that's her granddaughter. I think it's a clerk. So.
Do you think is she gonna be remembered? Like, obviously we don't live forever, and is she gonna be remembered in pop culture for you?
Yeah.
A lot of people love Judge Judy. My parents loved Judge Judy. My ex-girlfriend Stephanie loved. Like, I remember when we were still seeing each other, she was like, "Yeah, come on over. We got Judge Judy on." I said, "All right, well."
It's my grandmother's thing. I swear that's where I get it. But yeah, yep.
Oh, great show. Now I want to get into this. This is one of my favorite segments of the show, which is top fives. I got a few here for you.
Got it.
It's good because this influences other people to see things that they might like. Do you have a top 5 favorite movies?
So I don't like movies, and I know how that sounds. I like going to the movies. I'm like a comedy fan, but I can't sit down and watch a movie. It's like not who I am. I've never seen Star Wars, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings.
Security. Actually, Lord of the Rings is fine. Sorry. Go ahead.
You name some franchise people love. I've never seen it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I love Elf. Christmas is coming up. I would watch Elf. Maybe in and out. I'd walk in and out of it, but I don't know.
Yeah, no, I get. I mean, movies can be.
Right.
You know, you have to invest the time.
Yeah.
You know, if you're only looking for something for like a half hour, an hour, movie's not a way to go.
No.
But Star Wars, yeah, that's. I'm finding though, through social media and stuff, there's more people that haven't seen Star Wars than I was ever aware of.
Yeah.
You know, like that's an actual thing.
Nothing. Even Harry Potter is another one people get real mad about. Yeah.
I have seen the Harry Potter. I'm not a huge fan of that. I will say though, people give me crap because I have never seen Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. Nope.
And I don't think I ever will. To be quite frank, that's no diss to Lord of the Rings or anything. It's just never really interests me.
Right.
So totally get that. But well, then I guess this question becomes more important now. What about TV shows? What are your top?
So TV shows are cool because you can get through it. So I think the top 2, no matter what, is The Office and Seinfeld.
Can't disagree.
I've seen them all 100 times. I can recite them. Quality TV. Some of my other shows that were kind of like one and doners, How to Get Away with Murder. Viola Davis, love her. I've loved that whole show. And This Is Us.
Ooh. Okay.
This Is Us. Yeah, she just whoever likes that. They cried for 5 years. Like I miss that. I miss my emotional outlet. But those 2 shows are over now. But I had to shout them out. And then my third favorite that I still watch all the reruns for is Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. I love that show so much.
What, is that on Netflix at all?
Yes, it's a Netflix original. It's Ellie Kemper from The Office.
Oh, okay.
Have you ever heard of this?
No, I'm more new to Netflix.
Okay.
We've said it on the show, I steal my brothers, but and I know they're cracking down on that. So
you
I'm
need to
more
watch
into
this. Oh my God. Yeah,
that
she
good?
got like kidnapped and she lived in like a I want to say it semi-replicates that awful story from Ohio where the girls got, like, this man kept them in their basement or whatever, and that's what. But the whole story is now she gets out, and you get to watch her life from there. So, no, it's so funny. Yeah, so it's Erin from The Office.
Erin, yeah, because she had, she was on, oh my goodness, I can't even think of it. Before she was ever on Derek Comedy, and what's his name? Oh my goodness, he was on Community. He's a famous rapper now. Oh my goodness, I can't think of his name, but she was on that before The Office, and I remember seeing like her do a sketch, and then she was on The Office like a month later.
Oh really? I don't know.
Glover, is that a guy? Donald Glover, yes, he was one of like the main people on this Derek Comedy stuff. But I have to say, I've been rewatching Seinfeld a lot.
Love Seinfeld.
And what I've realized is, as an adult, that show is like 10 times funnier.
Oh yeah, and because I don't think you got it when you watched it before, or at least that's how I feel.
Yeah.
I have a lot more experience now to like find things a lot more funnier because they would die if it was live now. It would never make it.
Oh no, and a lot of, I always think too, because a lot of people are like, well, The Office would have been canceled right now, and I go, but the whole point was the irony of the jokes.
Right.
Michael Scott was supposed to be this guy who didn't get it.
Right.
I don't understand why they, isn't that what makes the joke funny? Is that he doesn't get that you can't say things like that.
Right.
I just don't know if we're like, I don't know if we're at a point where we're just like, now we're getting offended by things that were intended to come off offensive in a joking way.
No, comedy is like very taboo in some places.
Yeah, it's crazy. I was watching. There's actually a comedian on Instagram, and he does a lot of stuff like covering Seinfeld, and he didn't even say it, and this person just started talking over him, and I go, if you don't like comedy, don't go to a comedy show.
Yeah, just a heckle. Yeah.
And if you don't enjoy what they're saying, you can leave.
Yeah.
But
I know it.
neither here nor there. I know you're a big Celtics fan.
A little forced, but yeah.
Okay, okay. Who are some of your favorite Celtics players of all time?
It's funny you say this. So yeah, my husband is like the biggest Celtics fan on the planet in his mind. So any knowledge I have is just because I'm in that room. But I can't answer this question. Bill Russell.
Okay.
Larry Bird.
Gotta go Bill Russell. Yep.
Paul Pierce. And then I get a little more new schooler. Well, I guess Kevin Garnett, even though in my opinion, not my husband's, I will say that on the record, he didn't play long enough to have like a Celtics legacy. Just because you earn a ring doesn't make you a top 5. But
because they did retire his number. Yeah.
Right, yeah. Is that Bill Russell, Larry Bird, Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce. What is the other one? He used to be an announcer. He passed away. Mike. Heinz.
Nope. Tommy.
Tommy, yeah. But yeah, him.
Yeah.
That would be my top 5.
Yeah, Tommy Heinsohn. Yeah, like they, because I remember like in first grade, like everybody loved the Bulls.
Yeah.
Right.
Chicago
So
Bulls.
we all, but I also
Michael
like it was Jordan. I know I'm a Pippen guy, and I make that clear on the show very often, because Michael Jordan just got the MVP award now. Is going to be named after him. But I remember watching the Celtics early on, and it was past the time where they were winning championships. It was like towards the end of Larry Bird, Robert Parrish, and Kevin McHale. Yeah. Well, like so many things happened. I mean, we had the Len Bias got drafted, then died the next day. Another player collapsed. I can't think of his name right now, but collapsed in like I think '93 or whatever.
Nah, I know who you're talking about.
I can't think of the name right now, but it's just crazy. It was great to see them win in '08.
Yeah.
And how do you feel like? Do you still think that people need to hate on Ray Allen for going to the Heat?
My husband doesn't. So he's gotten over it. I think I definitely was. That's just straight up betrayal. You had many teams you could go to, and you picked that one. So for me, I'm like, I feel the same way about Isaiah Thomas. Different reasons, but I hate him. I just don't like him. And I think he's another one of the camp of like people love him or hate him. But I do. I think Ray Allen made a bad move. And I tease little IT night.
Yeah, because I know Ray Allen, he was pretty adamant that he goes, I want to win another championship before I retire. I still have my Ray Allen jersey. It's falling apart at this point, but that was a time we'll never forget.
Sure.
'08.
He's always going to be top the big three, right? He'll always come up there, but
It is what it is, I guess. But yeah, his number's not going to get retired like Garnett.
right.
Gonna ask this: do you have a top 5 musical artists?
I put music in the same realm of movies. Like, I don't really love music that much. However, Pink, she's my girl. So if I were to pick, like, whether it's because she's a badass human or because I truly love all of her music, that would be my go-to. But other than that, like, I'm just like a Kiss 108.
Okay.
So whatever, like, is flowing through there, that's fine with me.
I do enjoy Pink. I had one of her albums. What did I have? It came out like
Was it Angry Pink or is it New Pink?
It was like in the 2012, I think, it came out.
Okay, yeah.
I'm trying to remember what album that was, but she's been a mainstay. I know she's going to tour again.
Yeah,
I
right now.
believe.
Internationally. Yeah.
So it'll be good to see. I know I got to get on this because I've always loved Janet Jackson. Always loved Janet Jackson. And she came to Manchester a couple of years ago, and I didn't go. Just didn't go. So I don't know how many more times that I have a chance to see Janet Jackson. So I know she's coming back, I believe, to Mansfield. So I'm like, I got to go.
That's not far, right? That's how I feel about Jerry Seinfeld. I need to see Jerry Seinfeld stand up before he really, really retires. Because he said it a couple times, then he does another show or two. And he's playing when I have school.
Oh, no.
Of course.
That's another. I would love to see. I mean, seeing Jerry Seinfeld live.
Yeah.
You know.
Bob Saget was another one, but unfortunately.
Yeah.
That would have been good, though.
Well, that's the crazy thing is we're getting older. The people that we grew up watching are getting even older. You know what I mean? So it's like.
I know.
You know, it's either see him now or never see him.
I know. Yeah.
I do want to get to my actual favorite segment of the show, which is blank versus blank. I'm going to give you 2 things. You got to pick one, but you got to tell me why.
Okay.
First, this is a musical one. If you had to prefer to listen to Michael Jackson or Prince, who would you pick?
Michael Jackson. I love Michael Jackson. My mom loves Michael Jackson, so I think I just grew up listening to him a lot. But oh yeah, I would pick Michael Jackson every day.
Yeah, I'm still with Michael Jackson. I mean, I think I became more of a Prince fan when he passed away.
Yeah.
Which is kind of weird. Where I was like, oh man, what songs did I miss? And,
Yeah.
But Michael Jackson was just a mainstay. I mean, I think I had Dangerous in 2nd grade. You know, with that Jam album.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
So big MJ fan. All right, 2 guys that were playing on the Celtics at the same time. One, I wish his career was a little bit better, and one obviously could be debatably one of the greatest Celtics of all time. But Antoine Walker or Paul Pierce?
Paul Pierce. Paul Pierce just made such a legacy. He stuck it out when he probably didn't need to. He probably could have gone somewhere and actually got it, made a better, not that he doesn't have a solid career or a solid reputation, but I wonder if he was the Celtics for, to your point, I don't know, 10 years before they even won a game in my mind. But where, I mean, I almost went, Anton Walker, who? Like, that's kind of how I think of him, unfortunately.
Yeah, because they had that good team in 2001, 2002. But Pierce, like you're right, 07, it was like, man, are they ever going to do anything? And it was getting to the point, I think he was going to leave if they didn't deal for Garnett and Allen. And it's a good thing that they won the the NBA Finals as quick as they did because people got hurt and they never,
And they could have won it in 09. It's something my husband still talks about. Like, they could have done it. So it's sad they didn't.
Oh, very. I mean, honestly, and I mean, I thought it was when they blew out the Lakers in Game 6 of '08. I said, "Oh my goodness, we're gonna be winning for years to come." I thought at least 2 more, and then we only got one.
It just takes one loss, and it's it.
Yeah.
And they've never come back since.
No, and I thought they were gonna win in 2010 too, but
even last year. You blew it.
That's true. They made the finals again. We'll see what happens. A lot of people are picking them, but I mean, it's a different NBA. They're not the powerhouse that 08 team was. That's for sure.
Nope.
Would you rather be a student or teacher?
Teacher. I have way more influence, and I feel like in this stage of my life, I have more to give than I'm able to take in, which I guess sounds awful, but I'm standing by it.
No, I get that. I get that. We put the years in.
Yeah, right.
So.
Yeah.
Here's one that goes back to the 90s. This one that interests me because I know where my allegiance stands. But NSYNC or the Backstreet Boys?
Well, I've always been a true Backstreet Boys fan. I've seen them live. But the Nick Carter thing bugs me, I'm not going to lie.
Oh, that just came out.
That just came out.
His brother just passed away, too. Yeah.
I will say I've always loved Aaron Carter, but he was, I'm not surprised by his death. Very sad by it.
Yeah, a lot of people said, that was
and the reasoning is because I think NSYNC was just not, I mean, tearing up my heart like that. I know the words, I will jam with you, I will go see them live, but they just didn't have, it was Justin Timberlake and his backup dancers. And the Backstreet Boys were truly the Backstreet Boys, and they just, I don't know, I always picked them even growing up. Their Black and Blue CD is my favorite to this day.
All right, fair enough. I was in it, maybe it's because I like Justin Timberlake so much.
So you don't actually like NSYNC? You like
Yeah,
him.
because no one else really, I mean, him and JC would kind of sing, and then Chris Kirkpatrick would get a verse here and there, but Lance Bass and Joey Fatone never sung.
No.
I don't remember them having anything but just backup vocals. So I can't go wrong there. Another kind of 90s one, two different bands here, but Metallica or Nirvana?
Interesting. I wasn't a rock fan at all, really, but growing up, my brother loved Nirvana and my parents loved Metallica. And I remember when what the hell is that game? Guitar Hero. Remember that game?
Oh, yeah.
The first one ever. I remember we getting that some Christmas. So I think for me, I'm going to pick Metallica because I just could jam out to Metallica so much better. Nirvana, I mean, I don't know. What is that? Teen Spirit? Is that Nirvana?
Teen Spirit was their bit. A lot of people say that's like the song of the 90s.
Yeah,
almost.
I mean, it's not an awful one, but I'm going to pick Metallica.
Okay. I love them both. That's hard. I'm the host. I don't have to answer this question,
Okay.
so luckily.
Fair.
Gotta ask this, because one you have some relation to. Bret the Hitman Hart, I believe you got his glasses at one point.
Yep. I think I was like 4, 5, but yeah.
So what, were you front row that night?
So this was, I have to imagine it was, because it was by no means like WrestleMania. I have to believe it was like some weird
House
bottom of
show
the
is
barrel
what they
show,
call it,
right?
yeah.
And he was like the only important one, and maybe one other person. But yes, I was. But I needed to make sure you knew I was not at like Boston.
Yeah,
it was like Manchester. But yeah, front row. I was on my dad's shoulders, which is the key thing for Bret Hart. And yep, he scans the crowd. Yeah.
Very cool. Do you still have the glasses? Or?
So I don't have them in my possession, but my dad claims that they're in the attic. So
Okay,
we're going to
very
take some time to find them.
So I will say this then. Okay, so Bret Hart is basically, he picks up the pieces. Hulk Hogan leaves, right, at one point, and then Bret Hart becomes the star of WWE. Who you pick, though, Bret Hart or Hulk Hogan?
I never liked Hulk Hogan.
Oh, okay.
And it's for a non-wrestling reason, but in my mind, Hulk Hogan did his whole show, and I don't even know what it was called.
Hogan
but like,
knows best.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I'm like, do you though? I don't know.
No, Terry
Didn't love
Bollea
him.
does not. I will say that.
I didn't love him much. Shawn Michaels, though, was my go-to WWE player my whole childhood. That is the wrestler that I loved.
I love Shawn Michaels. I mean, obviously, he can make you hate him, and he can make you love him, and yeah, no, Hulk Hogan, we say this a lot on the show. I'm a Hulk Hogan fan. I'm not a fan of Terry Bollea, the human being.
Huh. All right.
Who is Hulk Hogan, because he's done a lot of horrible things.
His show's a little iffy, right? You know?
His show is
it
iffy.
hurts his image.
I could probably list the horrible things that he's done in his life, but that's for another time. Right. Would you rather watch football or baseball?
I would really rather watch neither. But if I had to pick, I would pick football because for whatever reason, there's better food there.
Oh,
I've
okay.
never watched a baseball game and been offered something delicious. So.
Well, what about when you actually go to a game and you get a hot dog, a pretzel?
I mean, I have been to
I guess
Fenway.
you
That's
get 'em
not
both.
awful. What is funny, though, so my dad would bring us to Red Sox games when we were growing up because, like, you could afford it then. They're ridiculous now. The pesky pole was the seat he would pick every time. So I actually sat in front of a pole most of my life. But I hated the game anyway, so it was fine. But which is funny because I played softball most of my life. But I don't know. I don't like to watch sports.
Okay.
I want to play.
Understandable. I think for me, like, when I was growing up, it was baseball, bar none. Like, that's all I ever wanted to watch. And now, as my, I'd rather watch football than baseball, which I never thought I would ever say that in my life. But, gotta ask this. Would you rather have Skittles or Starburst?
I would pick Starburst, I think. I actually love them both, but Starburst, in my mind, would last longer. That's a weird answer, but...
I gotta say, the one thing about Starburst, and I think I do pick Starburst now. When you're driving, it gets very difficult to eat Starburst and do that because you gotta take them out of the wrapper.
Or you buy the unwrappables.
Do they have
Yeah,
that?
in the bag.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's a thing?
It is the thing.
I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, every candy in the world now just comes in a bag.
Can't say no to that.
Right.
Gotta ask this. Maybe you don't like either, but if you had to take one, would you rather have a coffee or tea?
I actually don't like either, but I would pick tea. Because it's not that I don't like tea. Tea's fine. I just don't prefer it. But I actually do not like coffee at all, including
Really?
like coffee ice cream. Yeah.
Okay.
Mocha, espresso. It's just not a flavor I drive with.
See, I do prefer tea now. I was big coffee, especially when we were in the mill, and it was just there. But I would say over like the last 2 years, I think I had a coffee on the show 2 weeks ago or whatever it was.
You were up all night, weren't you?
I just never have them anymore. Like I never get coffee. I don't, I don't know. If you had to order out, would you rather get pizza or Chinese?
Chinese, definitely. Love Chinese food. Any kind. I don't even care. Some people are like, oh, what's your favorite place? Don't care.
Do you have a go-to in Manchester for that?
Honestly, no, because unfortunately, Manchester doesn't have the best Chinese food.
Okay.
So I have like favorite things everywhere, but I live near the Aloha. That's usually easiest, but
Okay. Makes sense.
it's not the best, unfortunately.
See, I'm trying to think. There used to be a place in Merrimack called the Silver Maple, and that was my favorite. But now they're not there anymore. I don't even know what's there anymore. I think they got replaced, but I think it's like gone now. But yeah, that's a tough one for me too. I think Chinese too. That's more what you get around the holidays too.
Yeah. Yep.
You know. Final question. What have you enjoyed going for more, your bachelor's, master's, or doctorate?
I would say my doctorate because I am in control. When you're going for your bachelor's specifically, it's 40 classes, and really 20 of them, maybe not even, are really the bulk of why you're in there, right? I mean, you are meant to learn, you are meant to be well-rounded. I don't want to down that, but it's hard to stay motivated and have fun, if you will, when it's philosophy, and that's not your thing. My MBA was a lot of writing, and it was hard because it was just a lot. But my doctorate, while it's a lot and it's a lot of work, I am in the driver's seat. And I have learned so much, and I've already pivoted so much. I've changed my topic a million times. It's another thing I'd advise. If you're going for this, like, don't change your mind. A good dissertation is a done dissertation. But being in the driver's seat is so important because I think that's what keeps me motivated. It's something I want to do. It's something I am passionate about, not necessarily just like going with the work of class, which is kind of the older school route of masters and bachelors.
No, I totally get that. I mean, honestly, I had a social science degree, and there was a lot of times I'd have to take math stuff or all other classes. Like, I don't care about this. Like, I feel like I'm back in high school where I'm just forced to take stuff.
Yep.
So, no, totally get that. But Kelly, I really appreciate you coming on.
This
It's
was
been
fun.
a blast.
Absolutely.
Everybody out there, have a great week. Keep your heads up. Again, this is dedicated to Bill Munson. Bill, we love you, and we're going to miss you, but we'll see you one day again. But until next time, let freedom ring.